Hi everyone, I'm Matt. I'm the Director of International Student Recruitment and Admissions here at Corvinus, and you are a nominee for the Stipendium Hungaricum and Diaspora Programme, or one or the other. So congratulations, first of all. Welcome to our session today. It's tailored specifically to you and to guide you through what the next steps are. A little bit about myself. So I've been at the university since August or September 2020. I'm originally from the UK and I worked for more than 8 years in higher education in the UK. I've done student recruitment and admissions, but also marketing, so things like website development, brand marketing, content marketing. And I've managed teams that do student recruitment, admissions and marketing. That's mainly what my career's been about. I also am a lecturer, so I was teaching business and management in the UK, taught marketing and project management. And my academic background is actually economics. So I studied at Leeds University, where my colleague Nina, who's also going to be joining us today, studied briefly as well for her master's, I think. So one thing that I always like to share when I do these talks, which I do quite often, is my experience about living in Hungary. So I really can't tell you guys enough how exciting or how excited you should be, and how exciting an opportunity this is for you. Budapest is an absolutely incredible place to live. I think it's a really great experience to live outside of your country, wherever you go. And if you have the opportunity to do that as a student, meet new people, understand the new education system, culture, language, just living away from family and friends, and all the challenges and opportunities that go with that whole package, you should go for it and embrace it. So these programs, Stipendium Hungaricum and Diaspora, fantastic programs in my opinion, because they give people like you the chance to study free of charge in Hungary in English and do some really great programs. And it's a life-changing opportunity. The time that you're here and what you can also do afterwards with a degree from a university like Corvinus. And I think and hope all of you will make the most out of your time in Hungary. Those of you who are fortunate enough to receive a scholarship, make the most of it, meet lots of people, further yourself, and think about staying here when you graduate as well. It's a great place to live and I absolutely love it. So contents for today, we'll talk about what happens next now you've been nominated. Of course, one of our big focuses is going to be on entrance exams, the majority of which will take place, or everything will take place this month if you're a priority 1 applicant to Corvinus, or you've chosen one of our programs as your priority 1. If you're priority 2, you might have an entrance exam next month in early May as well. Then we're going to focus on how you need to prepare, or what you need to do to prepare, and why it's so important to prepare well for these entrance exams. So everything's on our website. If you weren't able to find it, we're going to show you again today where you can. And of course, we'll send out all the links that we share in today's session via email afterwards. Then moving on from after the entrance exams, any other requirements that you need to fulfill as well. Just a reminder of these, and a few notes on why it's important to do things sooner rather than later. So Tempus Public Foundation give guidelines. They give you until August, the start of August, to upload documents. But if you need a visa to enter Hungary, which 99% of people will, then you simply need to do things much earlier than that to give yourself a chance of arriving on time before the start of the semester. You can't arrive late. Okay, you can't just show up in October and expect to join classes. You have to get everything sorted and be here for the start of teaching which is the 11th of September, and ideally before, so you can take part in Welcome Week, settle in Budapest, etc. Okay, so it's really, really important to be proactive and hear us when we're saying do these things as early as you can. Finally, excuse me, before we go to a question and answer session, I'm just going to talk a bit about what your responsibilities are in this process as well. So you're applying for a scholarship program that is free education. It's an absolute privilege. Yeah, that nobody's entitled to a scholarship. I think it's fantastic that this opportunity is offered by Tempus Public Foundation and by officials in Hungary. So it's brilliant that Hungary as a country is doing this. You have to take accountability and responsibility for your life and for your academic journey, including your admissions journey going into it. So don't expect just to receive a scholarship and for everybody to bend over backwards to make sure you arrive in time in Hungary. You have to do stuff yourself. Most applicants and students know this, but some don't. So it's a serious responsibility, guys. You have to be able to do this stuff, because in September you might be showing up in a country that you've never visited before, where you don't speak the language and you've never lived away from home, and there's a lot of stuff to sort out. So it's really, really important that you understand this and that you're mentally prepared for what's going to be exciting, but also a challenging period to manage. Then to close, we'll do questions. Please, guys, pay attention to what other people are asking. As we go through the session, you'll have the opportunity to type comments. I see some people have already. So you'll be able to type your question in the comment section that should be on the right of the screen. Look for what other people, for the questions that we're publishing throughout the event, you'll be able to see those pop up. Look for what other people are asking, might be the same thing as you. You can also wait as well, because we might answer it. So keep in mind these contents. And finally, we'll devote as much time to answering what we believe to be unique questions as possible. So we won't necessarily answer 100 questions if 50 of those questions are repeating content for that other people have asked. We won't be able to do 50 questions anyway, because that'll take way too long. Okay. So, as I've said already, well done, guys. Really, really brilliant that you've been nominated. We're excited for you on behalf of the university. Very, very happy for everyone that's been nominated, and happy as well that as a university we have record numbers of nominations. So only 1 in 5 people, only 20% of applicants get nominated. So you've already done well to get to this phase, but there's a lot more work to do, as you can see. So you're far from guaranteed a scholarship at this point. So what happens next is the entrance exams, and you can see here these numbers that I'm sharing on the screen now. Only 45% of people that are nominated, based on what we've seen in previous years, will be accepted. So it's important that you score as well as you can in the entrance exams. This is going to give you, first of all, the best chance of being accepted. Then, if you see the last point on the screen, it's how many people that are accepted actually get awarded the scholarship. And it's only around 50%. And the number of nominations is increasing each year, but the final number of scholarships awarded doesn't increase, because, as you may know, there's quotas for each country and there's quotas for each program, and probably each university has a quota as well, although this last piece of information is not published. How can you give yourself the best chance of being awarded a scholarship as well as being accepted? Well, the first thing to do is to be very proactive. So read everything on our website that you can find. listen to this webinar today and watch the recording back when we share it with you and the slides, and then use the preparation materials to prepare for your entrance exams. And you have to score as highly as you can in the entrance exams, because we can only accept a limited number of people. So even if you scored 91%, for example, in an entrance exam, the threshold or the cutoff might be 92%. So you could score really high and still, because of the number of people who've performed well, it won't be enough. So I can't tell you this is going to be the pass mark, that's going to be the pass mark. It doesn't work like that. The key is to perform as well as you can. It's going to give you the best chance of being accepted. And when it comes to the sending partner or your country awarding scholarships, the people that have the highest points, in my opinion, are most likely to be awarded scholarship. And that's what it comes down to, basically, guys, as far as we can figure out the process. Been doing this for 2 years. This is the 3rd year that I've been involved in this process. It's there's not this information isn't publicly available. It's our anecdotal analysis of what happens based on previous years. So the key message on this slide is perform well in the entrance exams. Do the best you can. Don't stress yourself about it. Just use the materials we provide. Do your best to prepare. If you're doing an interview, show your passion for that program. Passion by doing research as well. So informed passion. So don't just say, yeah, I love communications, it's great. Tell the interviewer why you're interested in communications. Now, have you been involved in debating, for example, or have you done an e-commerce website that's made you interested in marketing communications? Give the evidence, and that will demonstrate your passion more than just using superlatives. So this now is about the flow and the timelines, loose timelines for various things. So nomination process done. Now we're entering the entrance exam period, which is why we're holding this session today. And today we're going to focus just up to this point, really. Okay, so if you're fortunate enough to be accepted, what we may do is hold another session, or we might in particular hold a session for master's applicants, because they have an additional requirement to fulfill called credit acceptance. So we might hold an extra session with more information about this or other important matters. But otherwise, look out for the emails from our staff, because we're producing, Nina is leading on this. My colleague Nina, who's with me today, she's creating really, really useful news pieces and blogs, and she's sending out emails. And this has the most important information in, or these have the most important information in them that you need. Now, what we don't do, guys, I'm going to repeat this on the last slide. We don't offer a service where you can email us about every single unique matter. We can't respond to individual inquiries. We have 1,600 applicants and we have 3 staff members in admissions. We spend all day doing emails and not being able to do our jobs if we use that approach. So you have to be proactive. You have to be proactive in finding this information out yourself and problem solving. Again, as I said, you're going to show up in Hungary potentially in a few months' time. How will you manage living in another country if you can't read information on a website and solve these kind of problems for yourself? So please, guys, do us that favor, show us that level of compassion and respect and understanding, and try to solve these problems for yourself. Right, after the entrance exams, once you've fulfilled all of the admission requirements, i.e. you've given us all documents and you've graduated, because it's important, you can't get an unconditional acceptance letter until you graduated, then you will get the unconditional acceptance, and then you'd also get the letter of award of a scholarship, or shortly after, if you're lucky enough to be one of the the 350 people we expect who will be awarded scholarships for 2023. You can't apply for a visa without those two things. So you need to be unconditionally accepted. Unconditional means fully accepted. There are no conditions. Your place is guaranteed. So you have to already have graduated and provided all the documents that I've talked about. And then you have to have the letter of award of the scholarship, and you have to have either accommodation, so secured accommodation, or you've applied for a dormitory place at Corvinus, which you may or may not get, but at least the application will be enough to show the officials who would grant you a visa that you're aiming to secure accommodation in Budapest. You can't start the visa application until you've done these things. Okay, so that's important to know. Some key tips or pro tips. First of all, just wait for feedback for your entrance exam. So I've already talked about how you communicate with us. Just wait. We're going to tell you if you've passed or if you failed. If you're priority 1, you'll get that feedback by 30th of April. If it's 29th of April, if it's 30th of April, 10 a.m. and you haven't got feedback yet, just wait, please. We're going to get it to you when we can. Priority 2, you'll get the feedback by 14th of May. And the last point, I've said it already, but the earlier you provide us with all the statutory documentation, the better. If you end up starting the visa application process in August, you're probably going to be too late. And we had over 30 scholarship, unconditionally accepted, awarded applicants in 2022, and they could not start. They couldn't start at Corvinus. They lost their scholarship and their place in the program because they left it too late to apply for the visa. So please provide everything as early as possible. If you're still studying, we know that you'll have to graduate. Okay, so we'll wait for you to graduate, but provide everything else as early as possible, which I'm going to talk about again what these requirements are, so that then the process can be as quick as possible. Right, this is the schedule for entrance exams in April. So the interviews, note the interviews are for priority 1 applicants only. If you're priority 2, then you'll be in May. However, everybody who's doing a master's program will do competency tests, or a competency test, because it's only one kind of test, on the 12th of April. Okay, so if you've applied for 2 programs at Corvinus, 2 master's programs, you only do 1 competency test. It's the same test. So check for an email from us. The test will be via Moodle. That's our online learning environment. And you complete the test there. There's no mark given for your performance in the test, but it is compulsory that you complete it. Okay, so if you miss your test on the 12th of April and you're doing a master's program, you'll be excluded from the process. You'll be rejected immediately. And there's absolutely no circumstance in which we can readmit people or consider people missing the test, I'm afraid. It is absolutely compulsory to do it on the 12th of April. Similarly for written exams, so if you're from one of these, if you applied for one of these programs, it's actually only 5 programs because management and leadership is not a Stipendium Hungaricum program. So business informatics, economic analysis, finance, international relations, or marketing. One of these 5 programs, you have to do a written exam as well. So you do your competency test on the 12th, and then you'll do your written exam again via Moodle on the 13th or the 14th of April. So we'll be in touch with you to tell you when your test is. Now, unfortunately, there's no flexibility in those test times. It's a fixed time for everyone. And we're aware that we have applicants in the East, applicants in the West, and people have work and school and university, etc. But you have to make sure you can sit these 2 tests at the times that we tell you to do. They're both compulsory. Yeah, if you're doing a master's program, one of these 5 masters, the written exam's compulsory. But don't miss them. Okay. Now for bachelor applicants, so if you're doing a program that has BSc in the title, and if you're doing PPE, if you're applying for PPE, then you will do a mathematics test between the 12th and the 14th of April. Now, this is a bit different to the written exam and the competency test in that you have some flexibility to take the test at your leisure for the mathematics. So we're going to send you a link. It's an online environment, and it's a proctored environment as well. So that means that you have to use your laptop and have your webcam on, and you can't click on any windows whilst you're taking the test outside of the window you have open for the test. And if you do any of these things, then you'll receive a 0. You'll be rejected. So it's very, very important not to cheat, but you have some flexibility as to when you can take the test. So make sure you do it before the 14th of April, 5 p.m. Budapest time. But you have some flexibility to fit that around your schedule. Interviews, or oral entrance exams, as we like to formally call them, but they're really interviews, will be from the 16th to the 26th of April. So if your program has a written exam, and this includes the PPE that has a mathematics test and an interview, then you'll be later. You'll be 24th to 26th of April. So something that's important for these programs with written exams and the PPE, which has a maths exam, there will be a pass mark just for you to be offered an interview. So if you don't pass, then you won't be offered an interview effectively. And we won't publish. Well, I won't tell you now what those scores are, because they differ from program to program. And the key point is you need to perform well in these exams. Okay, and then feedback, as I've already said, by 30th of April. For May, this is only people who are priority 2. So if you need a competency test, you've already taken it in April. If you need a written exam, you've already taken it in April. And actually, all the interviews, regardless of whether you had a written exam or not, for priority 2 applicants will be in May. So if there's a scenario where you apply for 2 Corvinus programs and both of them require interviews, you'd be doing your priority 1 interview in April between the 17th and the 26th, and your priority 2 interview a bit later in May, between the 2nd and 4th of May. Okay, and then feedback. Well, he wrote by the 14th in the earlier slide, but actually we aim to give it by the 11th of May. Key resources. Now this slide has very important links that we're going to share with you. We've already shared with you, and everything is of course on our website, but not everybody knows where these things are. So if you've applied for a bachelor, a BSc program, so this is applied economics, business management, international business, and data science in business. These 4 programs, then you only have a mathematics test. That's all you need to do. As Nina will repeat later, if you apply for 2 programs and they're both BSc, you only do 1 mathematics test. You don't need to do the test twice. PPE, as I've already explained, that's a unique program. There's a mathematics test and an interview for that program. Mathematics first. If you perform well enough, you'll be offered an interview. And for the other BA programs, which is communications, sociology, and international relations, it's just an interview. That's all you need to do. Master's programs all require a competency test and an interview. and there's those 5 programs I mentioned on the last slide that have a written exam. And for the full-time MBA, it's just an interview. So there's no competency test and there's no written exam. These last 2 links in gold at the bottom of this slide has the most important resources for how you can prepare for the entrance exams. So check them out, look at the preparation materials. There'll be a PDF for each program, subject to what you've applied to. Click on the right link and use this information to prepare. And these PDFs will give you a guide of other places you need to look to do more research to perform well, particularly if you're doing interviews and written exams. For the maths test, another key point, we do offer a practice test on our website, but you only can have 1 attempt at the practice test. So we also will share the answers to the practice test, questions and answers. I recommend that you have a go at the questions and answers first, doing them offline. And when you're feeling confident, you have a go at the practice test, because that's in the same environment, it's in the same test environment. So don't attempt the practice test in the environment until you're ready. I know some of you have done it already. That's fine. You know how it works. You can't have another go now. And we also ask you not to use a different email account, because there's a limited number of practice tests available, and it will result in other people not being able to do it. So please only do the practice test once with the email that you've used to apply to Corvinus and for the program. Okay, and it's Nina next, so I'm going to hand to her and she will cover the slides. Go for it, Nina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nina. I'm a part of Matt's admission team, and I will tell you a bit more details about the entrance exams, invitation, and how that works. So as Matt mentioned, we have mathematics exam, competency test, and written exams, for which you will all receive an email with the link on the day and at a specific time of when to do the test. And then we have interviews, or the oral exam, which is an email with the link to a calendar. So this is not a direct email with the link to your interview already. This just means that you get to book your interview appointment. So pro tip at this point would be to whitelist international application email, which you can see on the screen, because sometimes your emails can go to junk or spam folder. And this is the email from which you will receive all of our entrance exam invitations and all the communication about it. So our advice is regularly check spam folder and whitelist the email you see on the screen. So as Matt mentioned, important parts about the math exam is that if you're a bachelor's and you're taking the math exam, you only need to do it once, even though you're applying for 2 programs within our university. So this is not the case for the interviews or for the written exams for master's programs. Those you have to take for each program that you've applied to. Then let's get into the details of how to actually schedule your interview. So as I mentioned, you will receive an email with the link from our international applications email. You should click on that link and you will see a calendar scheduling software where you can choose from available time slots. These time slots are again predetermined by our admission committees. And please, please, please only book 1 appointment. This is predetermined, and it is meant to give 1 space to every applicant. So people who violate this rule on purpose will be penalized. It will negatively affect your application procedure. So please, 1 appointment per applicant. Once you do that, you will receive a confirmation email to the email you provided. Hopefully it will match the email with which you created your application. And in that email, you now have to RSVP to an event. So that means press yes or accept buttons. Usually it is somewhere at the top of the email, and you can see on the screen examples of where those buttons could be. What this will do is it will save this event into your calendar, and it will notify our interviewing committees, so everyone will be aware what time your interview actually is. And I think that is all from my side. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Nina. You're much more concise than me. That's good. Okay, this point 2 that Nina just mentioned, it is really, really important, guys. Last year we had people who were scheduling 3 appointments all for themselves, and then other people couldn't book. So it's very, very important to only book 1. And I would say only book when you're certain at the time, because sometimes what people do is they book and they think that they've cancelled, but it's actually remained in the calendar and it's blocking other people from scheduling. So only book 1 appointment and only book once. That's really, really important as well. So put a bit of thought into it, and keep in mind, guys, this is a kind of theme that runs through the session today. You're one of 1,600 nominees, okay, and everybody is the same, in the same situation as you, and everybody wants to be admitted and to get a scholarship and to do the best that they can do. But you're one of many, and we're doing our best to cater for all of you as fairly as we can. But do keep in mind your fellow applicants and the people interviewing you and the admissions team as well, because everyone's doing their best to give you a good experience and to get you here in Hungary in September. Okay. Are you going to stay here? You will, or you kind of, yeah, great. And then we'll do questions together at the end as well. Yes. Yeah, great. I can see there's a lot of comments already, comments and questions. Wow. Over 100, and we're 35 minutes in. Okay. So the additional application requirements. First of all, English language proficiency. I hope most of you provided this up front, because you should really provide it at the point of applying. But if you haven't, then you need to do B2. You need to prove you have a B2 level of English. Check the Corvinus website for the qualifications that we accept, and what we say is equivalent to B2. Make sure you've done your test within the last 2 years. So it should be no later than September, or not earlier, sorry, than September 2021. Okay, so if you've taken your test before September 2021, you'll need to do it again to make sure it's up to date. And a really good option that we say to many people is the Duolingo test. The price has just gone up, but it's still very affordable. It's $59 US. It's much, much cheaper than IELTS and TOEFL and TOEIC. And it's online, and you'll get the results within 2 to 3 working days. Just do it straight away if you haven't done it yet. There's no reason to wait, other than the fact that your English is not good enough. Okay, so if your English is not good enough, you're probably not going to perform great in the entrance exam and score well enough to be admitted anyway. So just do it as soon as you can if you haven't already. Okay, there'll be a chance to upload your mandatory medical certificate that Tempus requires, and look at the template online that they provide. Complete the template in that format, or go to your doctor and make sure that they complete all the tests and provide all the scans that correspond with that template. Very, very important. It must be in English or Hungarian. Okay, so I think in most cases this means in English, and you have to have it officially translated. You'll see that point for my next point as well. Point for the point. You can't just translate stuff on your own, guys. We see people trying to do this and using Google Translate, and you can't. You're not an official translator. Yeah, anything could be written in a document. I can translate my grades, my university diploma, and say that I studied geography, but I studied economics. So it doesn't prove anything if you do the translation yourself. It has to be done by an official translator, and normally with their stamp and seal. So this applies to the medical certificates And it applies to the next point, which is diploma and transcript. Okay, you need to provide these documents eventually translated by an official translator. If you've already finished your studies, do that straight away, get them translated, upload them to DreamApply as soon as you have the option to. Probably there'll be a window again where Tempus allows you to upload documents. If not, you'll have to wait to the summer when you graduate, and you'll have to be as proactive and quick as you get that done as quickly as possible. So make arrangements with a local official translator to make sure that they can do this for you. And the last point is about these credit requirements that I mentioned that masters, so MA, MSc and MBA applicants have to meet. We've done a lot of promotion of this before the application period opens. It's extremely important in Hungary that you have related credits in your bachelor studies to your masters. These minimum credits are published on our website. We give guidance on how to calculate them if your credits are not in ECTS, which is the European Credit Transfer and Accumulation System. That's how we call credits in Hungary. And it's a standardized system that's used throughout Europe. So we give tips on how to convert your credits into ECTS. For the moment, all you need to do is be aware of this, because it's very, very important. You will eventually need to meet the credit requirements. Even if you pass the entrance exams, if you don't eventually meet these requirements, when we ask you to complete a form to analyze, so we can analyze them internally, even if you passed an interview, if you don't meet these requirements, you could lose your place. You will lose your place. You'd be rejected. So it's very, very important. For the moment, just keep it in mind. Check the website. You don't need to contact us about this. Just check the site and be prepared for after the entrance exams for us to communicate with you if you're a master's applicant about this. And as I said earlier, we might hold a special webinar for these people, or we might just do it via news and blog posts. Haven't decided yet, not sure what will be required and what time will be available. But if the process is very simple, because we'll have a new process internally this year, then we'll probably just send it out to you with some guidance documents. So I hope that's clear. This is everything else that you'll need to do. And before we go to questions, I've said a lot of this already, but I will repeat it one last time. So yes, you need to attend all the entrance exams when they're scheduled. Okay, when we invite you to schedule your interviews or to do a written exam or to do the mathematics test. If you don't attend during that period, you'll be rejected. You'll be removed from the process. If you schedule an interview and you don't show up at the right time, so make sure the way that Calendly works, our scheduling software, is it automatically factors in your time zone, but make sure you're certain of what time the interview is going to be and don't miss it. Make sure that your internet connection is good. We won't allow people who've missed because of connection issues to schedule again. There's just simply not time for it, because we have to do all the interviews and get all the priority one acceptances, rejections out by 30th of April and 11th of May for the priority 2. So there's not time to reschedule people. You have to attend. You've got one shot basically for everything. Okay, it's your job to prepare. We've given you access to the materials. Be proactive, take this seriously, and give yourself the best chance of higher education in Hungary and at Corvinus by excelling in these entrance exams. It's not enough just to show up and to do quite well. You know, you've really got to excel to be conditionally accepted and to give yourself the best chance of them being awarded a scholarship. We're going to give you all links afterwards, but everything's on our website already, and I think it's quite easy to find. So there is an application information section of our English language website. By the way, one tip that's very important, always use our English language website, because we do also have a Hungarian website. Don't use the Hungarian website and use your web browser to translate it into English. The content is different. So if you Google Corvinus English and then you look at the URL, you'll see that it has ENG, and that means that you're on the English language website. On the English language website, there's a tab on the left, top left of the screen, called Admissions. Check the application information section there, and pretty much all the links that we talk about in this webinar are there. It's so easy to find, but we will share with you anyway after this session. And of course, the other part of the website that's really important to study before you have entrance exams is the program information for the program that you've applied to, and make sure you check the program specification. So you'll see on each program page there's a button that says program specification. Make sure you check this, and you can see the modules and courses that people are studying on that program as well. Okay, the last point, again, I've said it a few times. It might seem a bit mean, but it's very, very important. It's actually a point about fairness to your fellow applicants and to Corvinus staff. Please try not to contact us. Our international application email is no reply. So even if you send emails to that address, we won't respond to them anyway. We won't be checking that inbox. There is an option to make an inquiry on our website, but I ask you not to use that unless essential. And I don't think there's any situation that I can think of where you should need to use it, because I've told you you've only one shot at entrance exams. So there can be no inquiries about excuses for missing entrance exams. We'll talk about the credit requirements later. We've explained the full process. And I've told you guys that you need to be proactive in finding this information and solving problems for yourselves. So of course, we'll give you more information if you're accepted and awarded a scholarship. But for now, you have everything you need to know. You just need to use these resources, really. So please try to solve problems, respect staff, respect fellow applicants, and put your energy into preparing for the entrance exams with the resources that are available, rather than focusing too much on contacting us, because we just can't manage all of these inquiries. And then you'll eventually, as I've said already, be in Hungary, building a life here, and there'll be problems that you'll need to solve yourself. So yeah, quite a serious point to end on, but maybe my last few words before we go to questions will be to repeat my first words. We are very happy that you've all applied to Corvinus, and it's a really good achievement to be nominated. Don't take it for granted. There's a lot of work now to be done, but if you prepare, you'll give yourself a great chance of being admitted to Corvinus. So make sure you prepare for your entrance exams. That's the next thing to really focus on. Don't miss any, perform well, and if you do that, then hopefully you'll get a place, and we'll be really excited to meet you in September. So now for questions, and let's see what people have been posting. So I think I'll go back to Teams, Nina. So do you want to read the questions?
I can read them for you.
Yeah. Do you want to answer any?
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll go the floor.
So there is quite a few, and some of them we've managed to answer as we went along. So do bachelor's applicants also have an entrance exam or just an oral interview? I believe we have answered that one. And so if you're applying for Bachelor's of Arts, you will have an oral interview. If you apply for the science, you will have mathematics exam, except for the PPE, which has both.
Thanks, Nina. So you did answer one of the first one.
There we go.
Good. I can't actually get to the published questions at the moment for some reason, so I'm going to take them off your screen if that's okay. Or you read out.
I can read them out. Does the first round of logic test, I believe this is the competency test, count in an admission score? Because some students say that the test does not count.
Yeah, I mentioned this, didn't I? So yes. The test doesn't count towards your entrance exam score, but you must do it. And if you miss it, as I've said a few times now, you only have one shot. If you miss it, you won't be invited for a written exam or interview. You'll be rejected. So you have to attend. By the way, your scores are made available to the interviewers. So you might want to keep that in mind because they'll also be considering your motivation. So you don't want to have a poor score, but it won't ultimately affect your final entrance exam score.
Then another question, if they're selected by both universities, can they opt for their second preference?
No, this is a common mistake that many applicants make, and we do our best. We do webinars before the Stipendium Hungaricum application process begins, and we tell people every year that priority is extremely important. You have to go to your priority one if you get an offer from your priority one. So you'll only be able to go to your priority two if you fail to your priority one. That's the only way. So if you fail your priority one and get accepted for priority two, that's the only scenario in which you end up at your priority two. The order is very important. It is written in the call for applications. It's something that you should have checked before applying. Now you have to proceed with your priorities in the order that you've made them in your application.
And then another similar question. So if somebody went through this process already last year and unfortunately was rejected because of quotas, do they have to go through the whole process again this year? So entrance exams and all.
You do. You have to go through everything again because there's no pass mark, as I've said. So each year the pass mark will change because it's based on how many people have applied and achieved a certain score. And the higher education regulations in Hungary actually require you to do an entrance exam for each year you apply to. So yes, you'll have to do everything again.
And then we have some more questions about specific entrance exam parts. So can a smartphone be used to write the entrance exam, either the math or for the interview?
Well, interview, you don't want to be using a smartphone at all. It's eye contact. Well, it'll be for a camera, but personal contact with the interviewer is important. No, do your research before. I wouldn't be impressed if I was interviewing someone and they had a smartphone on the desk. So absolutely no to that one. For the mathematics exam, you can use a calculator. So that's the only device and a sheet of paper for working out. So you can have a calculator and a sheet of paper, and it's going to be through webcam.
This also answers one of the questions about if they can use calculators. So
okay,
great timing.
Anticipated it.
Yes. There's also a question about the competency test, if there are set dates and times. There are. A lot of people have said in the comments that they haven't received a notification about it yet. As Matt said in the presentation, everyone will receive it on the 12th of April. So nobody has been informed about the competency yet. But once you receive that email, there will also be the time available for you to take the test.
So that's 1 week, isn't it?
That is in a week.
Yeah. So when Nina, could people expect to receive the email invitation for the competency test?
I believe it is on the day or that week.
Okay.
Yes.
So Monday's day off in Hungary, isn't it? Because of Easter.
Mm-hmm.
So people should receive an email inviting them to take part in the competency test 11th or 12th. Probably it will be the 11th, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Is there an entrance exam for an MBA program? This is just since a lot of people applying are professionals, they need to inform in advance their employees. So here I would just mention that for the interview, which is required for the MBA, you will be informed about a week in advance, and there is some flexibility because you get to book your own interview appointment. So there will be the day, unfortunately, is preset by the interviewing committee, but there are multiple slot times available. So you will be able to choose one that best fits into your work schedule, hopefully. And so that there we are a bit more flexible. In terms of competency test, I believe there is a preset date and time, as we've already mentioned. So unfortunately.
But for the MBA, no competency test either.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, unless you've applied for another program.
Yes.
I think was it Anand that Shabam Anand, is it that one? Yeah. Or Shubham Anand, yeah. So yeah, you'll have to do an interview, Shubham. That's required, but it's only going to be a 20-minute interview. So I think your employer, they must support that, and there might even be chance for you to schedule during a lunch break or even evening. So look at the slots that are available. Okay.
There are also some questions about the corrections for the practice test, but I believe you've answered that. There is no corrections on the website.
No, we will publish the corrections on the website, or corrections, I'd say solutions.
Solutions.
Yeah. So we'll publish the solutions on the website soon. Keep an eye out for that. And also when we invite people to do the mathematics test, we'll remind you that there is a practice test and the solutions to the practice test as well. So quite a lot of people have been very, very proactive, and 185 of you have already attempted the practice test last month. That's good, but you will only have that one attempt, unfortunately, to do it in the online environment.
Thank you. Okay. Will they have access to this presentation and the recording? Actually, there's some people have had internet difficulties connection.
Yeah, sure. We'll send the recording and the slides out, of course, afterwards. And please feel free to share with anyone who's you know. We've got 400 questions that have been posted now.
Yes.
It's quite hard to keep up with.
Yes. People are also interested in the rules that they're supposed to follow during the entrance exam. But if I can answer this one, I believe
Go for it, yeah.
The rules and sort of the do's and don'ts will be outlined in the emails once you receive the instructions and the links to either your written mathematics exams or to schedule an interview. There will be do's and don'ts, as well as some of the tips that we have shared here today.
Yeah. And it's obvious stuff, really. So yeah, don't have your phone, don't have volume on your phone so your phone's going off, or make sure that you're facing the camera. Don't be eating food. Don't be late. Make sure you're in a quiet place if you can. So just simple stuff, really, guys. Okay.
There also seems to be some confusion about the words we were using, priority 1 and priority 2. Would you like to clarify what we mean by that?
If you don't know what priority 1 and priority 2 are, then really, you haven't prepared well enough for the Stipendium Hungaricum application process, because it's in the call for applications. When you make your application, you have two universities or two programs that you apply to. The priority 1 is the term that Tempus gives the scholarship administrators to your first choice, and priority 2 is the one to the second. I can't explain it any more than that, really.
Thank you. Harris is asking, where do we find news and blog posts that we have been mentioning? And those, I believe, can be found on the Dream Apply website for self-funded students. So we can also share the link together with that presentation to that. But there is also an international blog that is a useful well of information once you've actually complete your application process. There's a lot of things to get you excited about Budapest and life in Hungary. So
will become more useful, I think, as
Yes.
the process unfolds, right?
Yes,
The
yes.
content we post there. Yeah.
Yes.
So today we'll share the presentation and the links, and gradually there'll be some news stories that we'll introduce to you by email, and we'll send maybe once a month some kind of email, won't we, out to the people that are still in the process, so they know the key things to be doing at that time. And sometimes we include some nice content to get you a bit excited about Budapest as well. So it's a mixture of formal and informal information.
Then I think it's important to clarify which parts of the interviews and exams are they using cameras and microphones. So I believe camera and microphone is definitely absolutely necessary for the interview process. And about the math and written exams?
Yeah, you don't need either for the written exams, and for the mathematics exam you do need to have a webcam, and we strongly recommend you use a laptop, not a phone, for that.
Thank you. And this actually ties in perfectly with Emma's question. If the interviews will be conducted in person or online, there will be online. That's why we keep reiterating microphones, cameras, quiet place, good internet connection is all you need for a successful interview.
Yeah, no
Aside
need to
from-
fly to Budapest.
Yeah.
We're green.
Yes.
And we respect your time as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is the majority of questions sort of grouped together. We do also have specific cases. I'm aware of that. A lot of questions about the requirements, which, as Matt recommended, check out our website, go through the presentation, and make sure you double check all the links, because all of the information is there. And the only thing that may be worth mentioning would be the exemptions from the math exam.
Okay. Do you want to do that?
How would that process work? And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in case you have documents that prove your exemption from English language, you should have already uploaded them or declared that they will be uploaded as part of your application. If it is regarding the mathematics exam, then I believe we will reach out to you in the coming weeks to provide us with that proof. Does that sound?
Sorry, I was actually trying to see the new questions coming in just in case there's any others, but I'm sure that what you said was right. And that everyone else got it. Sorry, Nina. Sorry, guys. I'm not a good multitasker. And I know that I was meant to be listening to chip in, but I didn't get it all.
Okay.
Is there anything else of value? I mean, there's 500 questions posted here. I did ask people to listen to what others were saying.
Yes.
I mean, maybe I'll just pick a few out that I think are interesting, because we've got a bit more time, and if you want to keep looking,
I will.
and you can publish any others. So somebody asked about the reserve list. So if I'm on the reserve list, but do well in my entrance exams, will I be admitted as a student from the main list? How the reserve list works is there's people that are awarded scholarships immediately, and there's then a much smaller reserve list for people that were close to being awarded the scholarship but didn't quite make it. It's very few. There's very few people that move from the reserve list to a scholarship awardee. I would say between 5 and 10% of everyone who's on the reserve list. Basically, the only way it can happen is if somebody who's been awarded a scholarship eventually drops out. And that's the only way that you'll move from the reserve list to being offered a scholarship. Okay, I'm just going to check through some of these questions. Do you find anything, Nina?
There is some questions about the vaccination and medical certificates, but I believe this is currently not being checked by the admission team yet. So that might be for another webinar for a later time. Right now, all you have to do is focus on your entrance exams.
Yeah,
I would say.
The COVID vaccine, there's a question about there, right? So there's no COVID vaccine requirements at all to enter Hungary. So you can have any kind of vaccine, you can have no vaccine, you can have recovered from COVID. That's not a requirement at the moment for entering Hungary. Of course, use your own sense and discretion with that. Yeah, there's no people are asking about pass marks. I've already said that there's no pass marks yet. We decide to pass mark once we've seen how everyone's performed. So it's more like the top 25% of applicants will pass. So you have to perform as well as possible. I've said it a lot of times. You'll be emailed about dates for entrance exams. So just keep an eye on emails. That's the key. And it'll be emailed to schedule an interview when it becomes the right time. And we've given you the broad periods of when your interviews will be. Did you find a good question, Nina?
This one might perhaps be interesting. Does the rejection from first university affect the second one?
Yeah, that's what I was explaining about the priority 1, priority 2. So that if you got rejected from your priority 1, but accepted by your priority 2, then you could end up going to your priority 2 if you got awarded a scholarship. That's the only way in which you can end up at your priority 2, actually. Somebody was asking about IELTS. Well, look on our website for the English language requirements and what scores we accept. It's an IELTS 6.0 that you need. That's how it affects being awarded the scholarship. You need to produce it and meet the English language proficiency. Not necessarily IELTS, but you have to meet the proficiency requirements one way or another. Yeah. People were asking about entrance exams, but they're very personal questions. So all I can say, guys, is if you want to know what the content of the entrance exam is, we've told you in this webinar, if you need a written exam, an interview, mathematics test, competency test, these are the 4 types of entrance exam. We've told you, we've shown you which programs have these. You have to now go to the website and check the preparation materials for these, and use those preparation materials to prepare. Okay, more questions about reserve lists, format of entrance exam, medical requirements. We've answered a lot of these, haven't we? I don't know about quotas. Somebody's asking how many students from Kazakhstan will be accepted. Corvinus has no limit on how many students from a country we would accept, but your sending partner, in this case Kazakhstan, has a limit on the number of scholarships they can award. So that's how it works. Housing, you can apply for university dormitories. So some people have asked about accommodation. We'd give more information about housing later because it's, we don't need to discuss it until people have been admitted. But there's limited space. If you don't get a university accommodation place, you can have an increased monthly scholarship. So around 110, 120 euros extra, equivalent to 110, 120 euros. And you should find your own private accommodation. Now that is not enough. One thing that probably I should emphasize here, which we didn't cover in the slides, the scholarship, living cost and accommodation allowance, if you don't have university accommodation, is not enough to survive in Hungary alone. So the living costs here in Hungary are about 7,000 euros per month. If you have just the monthly scholarship from Tempus, then it won't be enough money. It's going to be just over 1,000 euros. If you have university accommodation, that's covered. But if you have to pay for private accommodation, it's going to cost you 1,000 to 2,000 euros per year. Yeah, so you can see at least 4,000 euros extra that you need to fund somehow. So how can you do this? Well, you can work while studying in Hungary. That's one thing. So you can now work up to 30 hours, sorry. But also, you need to discuss with your family and make proper plans. Again, this is information that we try to make clear before people apply, but in previous years, people are not always catching this information for whatever reason. So don't turn up in Hungary and expect your scholarship to be enough to survive on. It really won't be, guys. You need more than that. Okay, Nina, have you found any good questions? More good questions? Not to say that they're not all good, but some are repeating what others have said.
Yes. Yes. So there is maybe one question that I would like to reiterate. Somebody is asking if the Corvinus is their second choice. Does that mean they will not have written exams, but only oral exams? So the slides that Matt was showing about interviews being in May does not mean that that is the only thing you will receive. You will also receive next week competency test or mathematics exam if you're required, if Corvinus is your second option, second priority, and then interviews, if necessary, will be in May. So you are still going through the same process as priority one, just different dates.
Yeah, spot on. And it was on the previous slide as well.
Yes.
So perhaps that was missed. So if you're priority 2 only and you're a master's applicant, you do your competency test in April next week. You have to do that still in April. And if you need a written exam, you'll do that again next week, 13th or 14th.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then your interview would be in May. So just the interview, but you have to do the written and competency next week still.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody talking about diplomas not being issued by August. It will be tricky if you can't produce your diploma by August, because Tempus sets a deadline of 1st of August. I note that this person, Buse, said they're studying in Hungary. Hungarian universities know the process, and you should get your diploma before August. And we have lots of students or applicants coming from Hungary each year, so it's normally manageable. Okay, Nina, anything else?
I think we've covered the majority of things so far. A lot of English language requirements and mathematics exemptions, which again, all listed on our website.
Yeah. Becca was asking about nomination. Would Corvinus contact people about being nominated? You should get a notification from Tempus about that. I mean, you've already been nominated, I guess. You mean being awarded at the end. So Tempus would tell you if you've been awarded rather than us. We would give you the unconditional letter of acceptance. So the letter of award that tells you got the scholarship, that comes from Tempus. The academic unconditional letter of acceptance comes from Corvinus.
There's another good question.
Okay.
Do we have to send our English and English proficiency exam results officially directly from the test center? This one's important. Please do not send us your English proficiency exam results. We cannot guarantee that they will reach us. We do not guarantee that the post will not get lost, and this will affect your application process. So please receive your English proficiency certificates and upload scanned documents to our DreamApply application system And that is the safest way for us to see your scores, to see your English proficiency proof, and to consider it during the document check application review. We really cannot guarantee that the test center mail will reach Corvinus in time or at all.
Yeah, thanks, Nina. I agree. So you just upload results to DreamApply. That's the best way. That's how we check them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking for some of the questions asked later now, because I think ones that were asked earlier almost certainly got answered.
Yes, I believe
in the
so.
slides. If you find anything, Nina, just go for it. Apologies, it's quite difficult to go through 698 questions and find which ones to answer. Of course, we can't answer all of them. I don't know.
I believe there have been answered in some form or another.
Yeah, from what I can see, there's very, very common questions appearing. Okay, well, thanks for attending, everyone, today. I think even if you didn't feel that we specifically answered your question, I think we have answered a lot of these questions in what we've said today. So it may just be a case of listening back to the session and reading through the slides. And yeah, so the people asking specific questions about credits during semester, we can't get involved in that level of detail, for example, or tell every one of you exactly what to prepare for the entrance exam. There's 1,600 of you, there's 700 people still here at the moment. So please, guys, just watch this back, check the slides, and then check all the links that we've talked about on our website. You're going to find a lot. You're going to find everything that you need there. And another important message, I think, to close on is, so we've talked a lot about proactivity. Another thing that's really important is to just stay calm throughout this process. So try not to panic. I know it's a bit stressful. I know that there's a lot at stake. Unfortunately, not everyone will be accepted. I've given you the data and the statistics. So there'll be 350-ish of you that end up at Corvinus in September. The rest of you, won't make it. But the best thing you can do is to stay calm, be sensitive to people's time, and start Corvinus staff, admissions team, interviewers, etc., your fellow applicants, and just give it your best. I really tried to prepare and show, if you're doing an interview, that you have the desire to study and the skills to study that program, and that you're a great student. And if you're doing the mathematics test, score high in that test. Show the program director for business management or international business, data science, whichever, show them that you're a top student, but in how you perform. And that's what will impress us. Yeah, it's not about people who post great questions now who want to get attention from that. It's about how you perform in these entrance exams, and that you have all the documents in your application record on time. That is the best way that you can impress us. And the less you hear from us, the better job you're doing, probably. So that's the key. So again, I'm going to wish you all good luck, and I'm going to give the last words to Nina, which I hope doesn't throw you off guard. Do you want to say something positive? Be nicer than I've been. Say something nice to close.
I guess, aside from staying calm and checking your spam folder, no news or little news at this moment is good news, and you can do it. You've come so far, and we believe in you. And on that note, I believe we're going to say goodbye.
Yeah, let's say goodbye. Okay, thanks everyone, and good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye.